Hi everyone. Welcome back to GIS Gallery. In today's video, we're diving into the world of Advanced Digitization Tools in ArcGIS Pro. This is part 1 of our series, where we'll explore the Modify Features tools and show you how to efficiently edit and enhance your spatial data. Let's jump right in.
Yeah. So what we can do next is we can see the line intersection. Line intersection is something like you can uh, create a line intersection of this point. So you can see this, right? So when I'm clicking on the first line and second line, you can see it has calculated a point. It's like showing a point here. That's actually the preview. Okay. Now if you want to actually cut it, you can just click on enter, and then it will be made. Where did the tool go? It will actually intersect the tool. You can see this, right? So now the line has been made an intersection. I'll just undo it and then I will show you. Earlier, this line was going like this, and this line was going all the way like this. There is no intersection here, right? You can see this line goes over like this line goes over like this. There is no intersection. If I actually wanted an intersection, I can use this line intersection tool. I can use this line intersection tool. It says now click on the first line. So I'll just click on first line. Now it says click on the second line. Now I'll just click on the second line. And now it shows that it's showing the preview of possible intersection. I can just click on tab to see possible intersection. So is there any other possible intersection for those things? Yeah, there is no other possible intersection. So this blue line shows the possible intersection of these two lines. This blue point shows the intersection of these two lines. And if it's okay, I can just click on enter or click the line. So now it's done, right? So how do we see it? You can just select on this line. Now you can see the selection goes over from here, but it stops over here, which means the line has been broken off at the intersection point. And if I select this point, it's breaked off here. And if I'm selecting this line, it breaks off here. It selects this, it breaks off here. So what did it do? It actually made an intersection at the place where they met, right? At the intersection, it actually made a breaking point. So that is why the line intersection tool does. It actually breaks off wherever these lines intersect. That is the line intersection. Okay, and we have the generalize tool here. Generalize tool is something like you can actually simplify or densify your whatever the caves that you have done. So this line selected, I can just click on simplify, and I'll keep the maximum offset as 10. Now you can see how how my simplified line will be if I'm giving the offset of 10 meter. If I was giving it 5 meter, it was like this. If I'm giving it something like 100, there's no much simplification to be done if it's like 100 meter uh, offset, right? If I'm just giving it 2, it will be like this. So the earlier lines it shows like this, and then the possible future line it shows by this blue line. This blue and cyan. Cyan line is the normal or the original path this line took, and then blue is the newer path. So if it's like if I'm giving it like something like 3, this will be the new path. And if I'm giving generalize, the line will be made like this. Okay. At the same time, I have something called densify. Densify is something like you can actually uh, give some more complexity. So if I'm giving it density of distance of 5 meter, which means every 5 meter it will be adding new vertices, right? If I'm giving it onto a map, I can just measure the first time. I don't think I can actually measure. So if I'm clicking here, it's actually gone. Yeah, so almost 5 meter. It's actually 5 meter because I can't actually do it. So every 5 meter, it will be creating a new node or new vertex. If I'm giving it 10 here, which means every 10 meter, it will be placing a new vertex. So that is how you can do generalized tool to actually densify or simplify your points. Same as in the case of what you will say, this kind of, maybe I'll just choose this one. Okay. Same as this case. I can just click on simplify, and if I'm giving the tolerance of 0, it's like the same thing. If I'm giving it 1, let's see how much I can simplify this. If I'm giving the offset of 2 meter, how much it's simplified. If I'm giving the offset of 5 meter, how much it's simplified. Similarly, I can just click on densify, and then I can just click on 2. Every 2 meter, a vertex will be made, so it will be densifying your data. You have also something called smoothen, by which you can actually smooth your curves. So we had the right angle degree here, right? So when I'm giving the smooth, it will actually make your curves as smooth as possible, right? If I'm giving it like 5, it will be smoothen it some more. If I'm giving it 10, it's smoothen it some more. So this generalized tool, you can actually simplify your data, you can smoothen your data, or you can densify your data. All right. So that is these tools, and then we'll be seeing the divide and construct tools. Okay. So split, using the split tool, you can actually split a feature class into whatever this is. So for example, I have selected this polygon, right? And I can just uh, select, I can just click on the split tool, and then I can just draw whatever shape it is, and then the features will be split as per the shape that I have given. Okay. Now these two are selected. If I'm drawing it like this, and the whatever the shape that I have drawn, it will be splitting your data. Should be simple. Yeah. So as per whatever the shape I'm choosing, and then the direction in which I'm splitting it, you can actually split your data. Okay. So this is how you use your split tool. So whenever you have some works like the plots, right? You have some parcels and it should be cut into whatever the pieces it is. You can use the split tool. Fine. And then we got the divide tool. Divide is something like you can actually split elements in a number of formats. So this the split tool, you can only split a single polygon into two. Right? You can only cut it into 2 parts. The divide, you can cut your polygon or whatever the shape, like vector shape, into how many as parts you can. So in here I've selected this point, and I can choose the direction. Okay, I can choose a polygon edge to set the direction, or I can draw a line to set the direction. So if I'm click like this, I can just click here, and then it's chosen. My polygon will be split across this direction or divided across this direction. Then I can also set the parts here. So if I keeping 3 parts, it will be cutting my polygon into 3 equal parts. If I'm getting it 4, it will get to 4. And then you have something called proportional area. You have equal area. You have equal width. So whatever it is, however your data is, or like however the whatever for the use cases you can change this proportional area or equal width, and then set it as how you want to cut it. So if I'm just clicking it as the proportional area I'm choosing, I want like number of parts 4. And if I click on divide, my data will actually be cut into 4 parts. If I had to be done it manually, I'd have to like select it and then click on the split and then split it manually one by one, right? Instead, if I'm using the divide tool, I can just use it or cut it is in the proportional or equal width. So whatever the use case you have, you can do it. In this method, you can choose a polygon edge to set the direction to split the actual polygon, or you can also draw a line, right? So I can actually draw a line to set this direction. So So instead, if I'm doing something like in this direction, I can draw. It will actually make your splitting in whatever the direction you're choosing. I can split three parts. So it will split your data as per you're giving how you want it to be divided, right? So that is your split and divide tool, all right? And then you got your clip tool. Okay, clip tool is when you use it when you have some overlapping polygons. All right, so you have the input feature, you have the target feature. So when you have two kind of overlapping features, you can do clip features in these of options you have. So you have the discard, right? So what does it do? It discards the area that intersects. So when you have intersecting area, it discards those areas. And you have preserve, which means it will preserve only the area that is intersecting. And then you got contain, which will delete all the features that is outside the clip area. And then you got split also. So split is it will actually cut it, but then it won't remove. It will be as separate features. So let us see how you can do your. Let me see if I have any overlapping polygons. I'll just draw it. So yeah. So I have two polygons here, right? And the one is overlapping over the other. So in these cases, I can use this clip tool. Okay. So I have to select the features. So I have to select which is my input and then which is my target feature. So I'll be setting this as my input, and then I'll be setting this as my target. All right. Now I have the buffer distance I can give it. So if I want to be clipped in a distance, buffer distance, but since it's actually overlapping right now, I don't need to do it. And then I can just keep on discard. I can set preserve, or contain, or split. Right. So if I'm clicking on discard and I'm clipping it, see, it has removed the overlap because why? So the place which was like actually overlapping, it actually discarded, right? So that what is so so the discard tool will actually so when you're setting it on discard, it will actually discard the area that intersects which is the overlapping area, right? It actually cut and deleted that area. So when I'm doing the discard, it has the overlap is actually gone, right? I just undo it. Yeah, see, it was like this before. But after I had done the clip tool with the discard, it actually removed those things. Similarly, I can set it for my preserve. Okay, so if I'm clicking on preserve, see, so when I'm clicking on, so it preserves the area that intersects. So it will only preserve the area that is intersecting. And what happened? The area that is not intersected, it has deleted those areas. Right? And then it has deleted that from the target feature. Right? The input feature was this thing, so it's already there. So in the target feature, it has actually removed that area. Okay? That is the preserve option. And then you need to go to the contain. So when you're clicking on contain, it will only keep the features that is intersecting. So if I click on, so when I'm clicking on contain, Yeah, so that's what it does. It actually contains the features that is overlap. So if I'm just uh, selecting it here, see, it is, I have this, the overlap is already there, but then whatever that is outside the overlap area, it is removed. Maybe I'll just open, I have the split option. So what split does is it actually removes the overlap, but then it actually keeps it like as is. So I'll just split it. And now if I'm selecting it, I have one feature here, I have one feature here, and then I also have this feature here. So it actually keeps the data, but then it actually has color cutting, right? So it has a cut here, it has a cut here now. So it actually keeps the overlap area as another feature. Okay, so that is the different types of clip tools. You can actually extract some features from other features. So whenever you have some kind of overlap and you wanted to clear it, you can use this clip tool. You can use the clip and you can use the discard so that it will remove whatever the area that is overlapping. So like if you have digitized some features without the snapping option or without using the tracing option, and then there might be so much overlaps in your data. And when you have those overlaps, you need to like of course remove it because overlaps are not like wanted features. So in those cases, you can actually use this clip tool so that you can remove those overlaps. Okay. Yeah, and then we have an explore tool here, but before we say about export, we need to actually say about merge. All right. So yeah, so using the merge tool, I can actually do the opposite of the split tool. Okay. So these two are separate features, right? I had actually separated them. So if I want to actually join them together, I can just use the merge tool. All right. I can just select whatever features that I want to join, right? So it says right the features to merge. So these three are the features to merge. But then it's actually asking for which the attribute I want to preserve. So I have some kind of attributes there, and when I'm joining these three, if for example this polygon has some kind of attributes, this one has another kind of attributes, and this one has a third set of attributes. So when I'm joining these three, if I want to actually it's asking for which of these three polygons attributes I want to keep for the output file. So when I'm joining these three, it will be creating a single polygon, right? So it's asking which of these three, which attribute I should be keep in my output file. So I'll just keep it on the 10. I'll just preserve this one and I'll just merge it here. I know, like you can see, it has actually joined, like merged all these features to form a single polygon. So that's the merge tool. So it has it's the same, created a single polygon because those were near each other, right? Those are shared boundary. So what if I'm just trying to merge this one and this one? So I have one polygon here, I have another polygon here. So what happens when I'm merging these two? Will it join together? It can, right? Because there's a distance between them, there's a gap between them. They can't actually join together. But I have the option here called merge. So if I'm actually merging it, like you can say that nothing happened, right? But if I select one, you can see that the other also selected, which means these two entities have actually become one. You can also see that in your attribute table also. So earlier, this one had a separate attribute row. It had a separate row in attribute table, and this feature, this polygon had a separate row in the attribute table. But after I'm selecting these two polygons and then doing the merge operation, those two rows have combined to form a single polygon, which means these two polygons have merged to form a single entity. So if I'm selecting this one, the other is selected. If I'm selecting this one, other is selected. Okay, that's the merge tool. So when your two polygons are disjoint, it will be becoming like this. So in the case of this one, right? So I'm just gonna split it. Okay, it's splitted, right? And now I'm just going to merge them together again. Right, I'm merging. If I want to actually do that opposite action, I can just split them again, right? So if I want to make them disjoint, I can split them again. So what about the case of this data? So these two are also merged, right? Now how do I actually like split them apart again? So I can't just like click on split them doing like this, right? There's no like it's not joined. So the tool we can use to undo the operation of two merge, the merge operation of two polygons when they are disjoint is called as the explode. Okay, so it's asking for make a selection, right? So I'm selected on the explode tool. I'm just clicking this single part polygon. Okay, now I'll just click on explode, and now if I'm just selecting one by one, we can see that the selection has gone, which means the merge operation has been undone. So this is a separate feature now. This is a separate feature now. Okay. So just understand that when you are doing split, you can just divide a polygon into two parts. When you using divide, you can split a polygon into different parts. With the clip tool, you can actually clip the feature, or you can just remove the overlap. All those things you can do with the clip tool. And with the merge tool, you can merge two features together. So if those two features are like conjoined, it will actually form together to form a single polygon. But if those two polygons are disjoint, it will still look like they're disjoint, but if you're selecting them, it will be a single polygon. And if you want to undo the operation of this kind of merging, you can use the explode tool. So what explode tool does is it will undo the operation of multiple polygons. Alright. So that is the explode. Cool. And then you got the Planarize. So Planarize is something like you did the intersection, line intersection, right? So what did line intersection do? So if there's a single line and then when there's two single lines are overlapping or like it's intersecting, it splits them into parts, right? So that is line intersection. So this Planarize also is something similar. Okay, it splits selected line features where they intersect and remove any consonant line segments. But the difference is that you can actually select the whole line network to Planarize. Okay, so in here it could only select two lines, right? So you will select one line and then the other line, and then it will show the intersection. With the Planarize, you can actually select the whole line network and then just click them, and then it will actually cut them all into these kind of parts. See, you can see that. So last time it wasn't like this, right? Just a single line. This was single lines. So I'll just do the undo operation. You can say this is a single line, right? And then this is the whole single line. So the planar is something like you can do the line intersection tool for the whole line network. So I'm just selecting the whole line network with the Planarize tool and just click on Planarize. And now if I'm selecting this line, you can see it has cut there, it's cut there, it has split there, it has split there, right? So a group type of line intersection you can call it Planarize. It actually split the whole line network into different features or different parts. Okay. So yeah, so that was your explode, the Planrise tool. All right, and we've seen the merge tool, and maybe we can also see the buffer. Do you guys know what is buffer? Actually, create a zone, right? So around whatever the features you are choosing, you can create a polygon zone. So you can create a zone around a point network, a point data. You can create a zone around a polygon data. You can also create a zone around your line network. Okay. So if I'm just clicking on the buffer, I'm selected this line. I can give the buffer distance of somewhere like 10 meters. Okay. and then I can, if I want the both side, right? So if I want to create line around the both sides of this line, I can just click on both. If I only wanted to a polygon to be created on the left, I can just click on left or right, right? And if I want the zone to be like rounded, I can click on round. Or if I want just want to be then square shape, I can click on square, right? You can also even check the preview here. So if I'm just clicking on round, you can actually see the preview of whatever the output will be. If I'm clicking square, you can see a preview here. If it's both, it shows the zone for two sides. If it's left, it will only create for left, and if it's right, it will only create for right. Okay. So yeah, 10 meter both round square, I'll just create. And now it has created a zone network, line zone. Okay. So this is a buffer, right? Similarly, you can also create for your like whatever the features. So if I I have a point network here. Okay, I can also create a buffer for the points. So I just select this point. I can also choose to which template I can draw. So I have the lines and then polygon. So if I actually wanted a polygon feature zone to be created, I can click on the polygon feature. I can give out my buffer distance. Right. So I'm taking 10-meter buffer, and then I can just click on buffer. Now it has actually created a buffer zone of 10 meters. You can actually calculate it here. So if you go to measure and then just actually calculate in the correct radius, you can see it has created a circle around my point network of 10-meter radius. So that is for your buffering for your point net data. You can also create buffer for your polygon data also. So for example, I have this polygon here. I can create a buffer. The template will be a polygon feature. I can give buffer distance of 10 meters. You can actually see this, right? It's because I have clicked on show preview here. So since it is already turned on, it will be showing me a preview of how the buffers will look like. So if I am clicking on buffer, it has actually created a zone over it. So if I'm just selecting it here, you can actually see that your polygon is already there. It has created a buffer zone around your polygon. So that is your buffer. And then you got the copy parallel, which is something like you can actually create a copy of your line. So whatever is the line of, so I have some methods which are if I want the copies to be made on both sides, or if I only want the copy to be made on the left or right, I'll just show it. So the show preview is already turned on, right? So I'll just click on 10 meters. Okay. So now you can see the preview here. So if I am keeping the both, so it is actually it's copying the or mirroring the whole line network into my left and right with the distance of 10 meters. So from this line to this line, distance will be 10 meters. From this line to this line, the distance will be 10 meters. If I'm only choosing on left, it will only create uh, on the left. And then if I'm choosing right, it will only create on the right. Okay. So that is the copy parallel. And then you got the mirror, melted, or if you want the rounded or beveled, it's something like when the curves around. So yeah, I'll just see. Now you can see how these kind of methods look like. So if it's melted, it'll actually create this kind of sharp corners. Okay, you can see these sharp corners. If it's rounded, it'll actually try to round out. See, you can it's actually try to round this kind of edges, and if it's beveled, it will just make this kind of beveled design. Okay, you can actually see it here how the melted, the rounded, and the beveled will look like. And if I'm just click on copy here, it will actually create a new copy of your input or your target feature. Okay, you can see it here. This is your copy, this was your original data. And so, yeah, so that was your copy parallel. That was the modify tools.